everyone, and welcome to another episode of Revv Evolution's Inspiration. And on today's Inspiration, we'll be talking about investing in Singapore. Is it still lucrative? Alright, as we all know, in Singapore, property prices have been going crazy. We've been seeing buying and selling in both the HDB and also in the private real estate area. On top of that, we've been having a lot of interest from our viewers as well, asking us whether they can, come and enlighten us with more information on property. And with that in mind, we decided to have an expert on board with us. But before he tells you more about himself, let me give you a little bit of background about him. He has been in the property business for almost 20 years and with more than half a decade in financial planning, and has an online webinar series together with his partners. And they have collectively done $300 million in sales, all right? And we'd like to welcome right here on Inspiration, Joshua Gill, who's the Senior Associate Marketing Director with PropNext. And here he is to tell us more about himself. Joshua.
Hi everybody. Now thank you for having me. My name is Joshua Gill from PropNext Realty. Now I'm part of the group called Asset Legacy, and we do professional portfolio management for people when it comes to property and investments.
Okay, and like I said, having an expert like Joshua, I really think is valuable for you guys out there, because besides being expert in real estate, he also does financial planning, which means he can give you information on both areas, which I think is very important. And also, as we all know, in property as well, there's like 1,000,001 questions that I could probably ask you from now till the middle of the day. But I only have so much time, and we decided to keep it short with 5 questions. But watch out for our next episode where we'll bring you more. Okay, and for our first question, for Joshua is, what do you think about the recent cooling measures and rising interest rates? Will there be a negative impact on our property prices?
Renee, actually that's a very good question. Now, will these cooling measures actually affect property prices? Guys, the only reason cooling measures were implemented to begin with is because the property market was on fire. It had a double-digit growth. Now, whenever the double-digit growth kicks in, the government will introduce cooling measures like this to kind of cool down the market. Now, guys, keep in mind that cooling measures were not meant to affect home buyers. They were actually meant to affect investors and multiple unit owners from buying so many properties, because we know that when they speculate, prices can go up even faster in a blink of an eye. So to prevent that from happening, that's why the government actually implemented cooling measures.
Okay, so when you say cooling measures, is it something like the ABSD and stuff like that? So that's part of cooling measures as well?
Yes, that's right.
Alright, so that's interesting. Okay, and on to our next question. What are the 2 top choices for property and early profits? That's, I think, a question that you guys really want to know.
Renee, that's actually a very good question. I get asked that a lot. Now guys, when you're buying a property and if it's meant for capital gains, now what kind of properties should you look out for? Now my suggestion is, if you do qualify for any of this, go for ECs, okay, if you can, right? Or if not, get a BUC unit, which is actually a building under construction, a brand new development in a right location.
Okay, and I always thought that, when it comes to like profits, right? I mean, in Singapore especially, no matter what you bought, whether it's a condo or HDB, you'll always be making money. So I guess now my kind of dream has been shattered. All right, moving on to the next question. Is there a way to identify higher potential profit areas, and what are the indications to look out for?
Actually, Renee, there is. Now, when you're buying a property, it is very important that you look out for 2 main fundamentals, right? Number 1 is transformations. Now, is the area going through any kind of transformation? What kind of plans does the government have for the area, And also rejuvenation. Now, that's the other part. So if it's a rejuvenation project, now it's something more like Jurong, like what happened in Jurong, where they moved the 4 ports over and they redid the whole entire estates differently. Now, this adds value to property.
Right, I mean, and I think there's really a lot going on, even in the older estates as well. They're trying to sort of rejuvenate the estate to make home buyers feel that, hey, my property is going to be worth value if I do ever plan to sell it. That's really great. And okay, next question. Do you believe that property prices are still going to rise, and what are the reasons? Can you give me the 2 top reasons?
Okay guys, now are property prices in Singapore going to rise? Now the answer I'm going to give are actually 2 answers, right? And they're both correlated to each other. Now number 1 is, if we look around, we realize there isn't enough land, right? But our population, which is reason number 2, is growing. Okay, so now without enough land and with a growing population, the government is targeting 6.9 million people. Okay, now in order to grow to that number, we need to release at least 22,000 new homes, okay, per year. So guys, we are severely understocked, and because of the demand and supply, property prices here will hold and continue to grow very strongly.
Yeah, I mean, I always felt that way as well, because like I said, in Singapore, land-scarce Singapore especially, with every nook and cranny is being used for flat flats and flats and houses. So for me personally, I always think that property prices are going up. And now moving on to our last question. All right, is there a difference in freehold properties versus leasehold properties? Which is a better investment?
Very, very good question. Now, this is the next most popular question, right? Josh, should I buy a freehold or should I buy a leasehold? Now, guys, you're going to see why you're buying a property for. If you are buying it to pass it on to your children, then of course a freehold property would be better, even though you pay slightly more upfront and monthly. Okay. However, if you're buying because you're looking at capital gains, now you want to make profits every 4 years, 5 years, you know, then guys, maybe freehold may not be the best option. A 99-year in a good location may bring you more results.
Thank you, Joshua. Actually, folks, I've got a whole bunch of other questions which I want to ask Joshua, but unfortunately, we've run out of time right here on this episode of Inspiration. But not to worry, I believe Josh will be coming back once again to join us here on Inspiration to answer more of your real estate or property questions. All right. So if you do have any questions, do remember to leave us a message on our YouTube or our social media platform. And I think Josh has some other contacts as well.
Yeah. Okay. So if you'd like to call me, you can call me at 8787-7751. Alternatively, you could join my webinar to find out more about Singapore property on assetlegacy.sg. So that's assetlegacy.sg. It's a free web class, it's a webinar, okay, and it happens like every other week. So sign up and learn as much as you can. It's all good.
Well, on that note, we want to say a big Revv thank you to Joshua for joining us right here on Revv, and of course for all of you out there for joining us on this episode of Inspiration. And on behalf of myself, Renee, and
Josh Gill,
we want to say have a good day.
Thank you very much.